Hi everyone. Okay, so in a previous episode of Why Do People Laugh at Spirit Science, we were informed by our old friend Jordan that the Earth is both flat and round.
What if it's both? What if the Earth is round and flat at the same time?
Well, guess what? It's also round and hollow.
Of the 4,000 miles of depth, we've only ever dug 8 miles down. That's insane!
Because sane people dig holes in the ground all the way to the Earth's core just 'cause? There's not much you can learn from drilling a tiny hole that you can't learn by other means, and digging a large shaft becomes impractical. How exactly is this insane, Jordan?
It's like living in a mansion with 500 rooms and only ever going in one of them.
That's not a very good analogy. Let's try to make it better. Those 499 rooms are filled with either solid rock or lava, so for practical and health-related reasons, they're simply not accessible. There, I fixed it for you.
Is it possible that our Earth has massive inside caves,
Sure, within certain limits, that's definitely possible.
or even worlds underneath that remain hidden from us surface dwellers?
That depends on what you'd count as a world, but judging from the pictures you're showing, I assume you're talking about something where an advanced Okay, this is gonna get stupid.
Seriously, what's up with so many ancient myths talking about this exact same thing?
The word myth should be your first clue. There was a time when we didn't know what was inside the Earth, and then various civilizations independently speculated about just that. Typically, they associated it with the boring features of caves, a dull place where dead souls go to break down or something like that. Others figured monsters lived underground, just like they figured sea monsters would attack you if you sailed far enough into uncharted waters. It's unknown, so it's a place where you can put whatever you can imagine, and it seems believable. But the key to all of this is that we're talking about myths, Jordan. The speculations of ignorant people who simply didn't know any better. We do. Well, some of us anyway.
Now, scientists have been talking about Hollow Earth for at least 400 years now.
No, there were scientists who were talking about it some 400 years ago, but they stopped talking about it in 1774 when the Earth's mean density was measured in the Schiehallion experiment. Simply put, the point of that experiment was to measure the gravitational attraction of a mountain of known composition and volume compared to that of the Earth by looking at how much a pendulum was deflected by the mountain's gravitational pull. According to this experiment, the Earth had a mean density of 4,500 kilograms per cubic meter. This is lower than the currently accepted value of 5,515, but still high enough to rule out the Earth being hollow.
One of the oldest Hollow Earth hypotheses comes from a man named Edmund Halley.
And you'll notice that he lived before 1774.
It's also rumored that prolific mathematician Leonhard Euler proposed a Hollow Earth model where the core is kind of like a miniature sun.
Yes, it's rumored. Euler never wrote anything about it, although supposedly he did use the idea of a hollow Earth in a thought experiment, so that could be where the rumor got started.
And what many of these theories have in common was that some sort of entrance to these realms existed at our Earth's poles in Antarctica and the Arctic.
Also falsified by the empirical fact that we've looked and they're not there.
Who knows? Perhaps these flat Earth conspiracies are all a ruse to try and distance humanity from the conversation that the planet very well may be hollow.
I have another hypothesis. I think it's a result of a horribly broken educational system, dismantled for decades by politicians who want an uneducated and thus easily manipulated populace that will vote against their own best interest. These people believe whatever makes them feel smart. They buy into religion, pseudoscience, and conspiracy theories because they satisfy that psychological need without requiring any actual work. Also, the Earth is neither hollow nor flat.
Some people believe that Hollow Earth and its entrances have been discovered already.
Here we go.
There's even a conspiracy theory that Hitler found a cave in the ocean, which led to the Earth's habitable interior where he escaped.
Of course there is.
Other theories say that alien races or even the Illuminati are hiding beneath our feet.
I thought the Illuminati were aliens. You said they were Martians in the history video.
Today, there exist 13 families around the world who pretty much own the world, with over 95% of the money and a lust for greed, power, and control. More and more information has become present lately that many of these families may have DNA that is different than the rest of the human population. It is speculated that they share DNA that was passed down from the Martian race.
You know, the one with the space Jews?
2 extraterrestrial races stepped in. Not one, but 2 completely different races. The first race were the Hebrews.
We all know what science tells us about the internal structure of the planet, but it's important to question how we came to this conclusion.
The same way we come to any conclusion in science. We use our available understanding to formulate a hypothesis which makes an empirically falsifiable prediction. We test that hypothesis by subjecting it to an experiment that would falsify it should the result fail to meet the prediction. If the hypothesis survives the test, this is regarded as evidence in favor of the hypothesis. If it doesn't, then the hypothesis is modified to take the result into account, and we look for a new way to test the modified version. Either way, we update our available knowledge accordingly. This method is used to build up entire predictive frameworks that we call theories. And while this is all inductive and therefore can never give us 100% certainty, a theory can easily become so successful at making good predictions that we cannot realistically expect it to ever be overturned in its entirety. The knowledge we have of the interior of the Earth is on that level. There may be details we're wrong about, but that's it.
As we said earlier, we have only ever observed 8 miles deep into the Earth.
False. We've observed all the way down to the core. We haven't been there, but there are other ways to observe things than to physically be there and see it directly with your eyes.
So it isn't the fact that we've observed this that makes scientists believe it, but rather assumptions made by studying seismic data.
Not assumptions, conclusions. And the seismic data are empirical facts. You know, observations. Seismic waves propagate at different speed in different materials, just like sound. This allows you to determine which materials waves pass through. Then there's the study of the Earth's magnetic field, which is generated by convection currents in the Earth's interior, where there would be no convection currents if the Earth were hollow. And of course, there's the aforementioned issue of gravity, which tells us the mass and thus the density of the Earth. Since we know the composition of the crust, we can rule out it contributing the entire mass. Instead, the density fits perfectly with both what the magnetic field tells us and what the seismic data tell us. That the Earth is full of molten iron with a solid inner iron core.
While the evidence does seem to show that the Earth is not fully hollow, it doesn't rule out the existence of significant amounts of space existing within the Earth itself.
That depends on what you'd consider significant, but sure, there could be caverns that we don't know about in the crust. But you're talking about spaces where life could exist and evolve into advanced civilized forms, right? Well, sorry. Such caverns would be sealed off from the surface and so would be inaccessible to any life except perhaps microbial life, which, no, would not evolve into anything we'd call advanced life in such an environment. In the mantle, that kind of caverns couldn't possibly exist because the mantle is not entirely solid. And there couldn't be life at that kind of depth either because it's too hot. Even further down, it's even worse. So no, the thing you're proposing is simply not possible.
In the early 1800s, some scientists started looking for entrances to subterranean Earth with the goal of seeing if anything like this truly existed. And in time, a strong urge to explore the poles for these entrances bubbled up.
These were not so much scientists as explorers. The poles were still places that no one had visited, and they were pretty hard, but certainly possible to reach. People went there for the same reason they climb mountains. No one went there to look for entrances to Shangri-La or something like that.
The most famous for these expeditions has to be that of Admiral Byrd in the 1900s, a World War II veteran and noted polar explorer and pioneer.
Okay, here comes the stupid part. Brace yourselves, like, seriously, this gets bad. You need oven mitts.
After serving in World War II, receiving a Medal of Honor, he continued his pioneering of the polar regions. It's worth noting that these large expeditions were some of the earliest thorough explorations of the region, And if anything mysterious or powerful was found, then it was the US government who had the first dibs and the power to keep that knowledge a secret.
Can you see where this is going? But no, actually the US government has no power when it comes to this unless they plan on using military force to break international law. The North Pole is international waters because it's in the Arctic Ocean and nowhere near a coast. And the South Pole is controlled by all 12 nations that signed the Antarctic Treaty. Now, that used to include the Soviet Union, so I doubt they would have let the US have exclusive rights to anything juicy discovered there, including anything they discovered earlier.
In 1984, years after Byrd passed away, a mysterious diary credited to him from 1947 surfaced. This diary included a log detailing a flight Byrd supposedly took over the North Pole.
Yes, credited to him, yet only discovered after he died. But let's be fair, maybe he did write it. Of course, even then, it's just a claim, a very extraordinary claim, supported by absolutely no evidence whatsoever. What claim, you ask? Oh, here comes the stupid part.
Flight log, Base Camp Arctic, 19 February 1947, 0910 hours. Vast ice and snow below. Note coloration of yellowish nature and disperse in a linear pattern. Altering course for a better examination of this color pattern below. Note reddish or purple color also. Circle this area 2 full turns and return to assigned compass heading.
Circle what area? What assigned heading? Wouldn't a flight log contain that information? I mean, it's pretty damn useless otherwise.
Position check made and again to base camp and relay information concerning colorations in the ice and snow below. 0910 hours. Both magnetic and gyro compasses beginning to gyrate and wobble. We are unable to hold our heading by instrumentation. Took bearing with sun compass, yet all seems well. The controls are seemingly slow to respond and have sluggish quality, but there is no indication of icing.
Wasn't that an episode of The Twilight Zone?
0915 hours. In the distance is what appears to be mountains. 0949 hours. 29 minutes elapsed flight time from the first sighting of the mountains. It is no illusion. They are mountains and consisting of a small range that I have never seen before.
Jordan, there are no mountains in the Arctic Ocean. I mean, yes, there's a mountain range underwater, but you couldn't see them from an airplane in the sky above the ice. There is no continent in the Arctic, no island with mountains like that. We know about that. And no, it couldn't be kept hidden because, again, it's international waters.
1000 hours.
It's pronounced 1000 hours. And to nitpick, because I can, Admiral Byrd would have said 09, not 09.
We are crossing over the small mountain range and still proceeding northward as best as can be ascertained. Beyond the mountain range is what appears to be a valley with a small river or stream running through the center portion. There should be no green valley below.
No kidding. And there isn't.
Something is definitely wrong and abnormal here.
Yes, I agree. There are people who take this shit seriously. That's definitely wrong and abnormal.
1005 hours.
10:05 hours.
I alter altitude to 1400 feet and execute a sharp left turn to better examine the valley below. It is green with either moss or a type of tight-knit grass. The light here seems different. I cannot see the sun anymore. We make another left turn and we spot what seems to be a large animal of some kind below us. It appears to be an elephant. No, it looks more like a mammoth. This is incredible, yet there it is. Decrease altitude to 1000 feet and take binoculars to better.
Did he just... Okay, one more time.
It appears to be an elephant. No, it looks more like a mammoth. 1030 hours.
10:30. I'm gonna stop that now.
Encountering more rolling green hills now. The external temperature indicator reads 74 degrees Fahrenheit.
Well, I seriously doubt it.
Continuing on our heading now. Navigation instruments seem normal now.
So you might want to make a note of your location.
1130 hours.
Don't you mean 1130 hours? I mean, come on, at least be consistent.
Aircraft seems light and oddly buoyant. The controls refuse to respond. My God, off our port and starboard wings are a strange type of aircraft. They're closing rapidly alongside. They're disc-shaped.
Of course!
Our radio crackles and a voice comes through it in English with what perhaps is a slight Nordic or Germanic accent. 11:45 hours. I am making a hasty last entry to the flight log. Several men are approaching on foot towards our aircraft. They are tall with blonde hair.
Oh, no.
From here, the diary recounts the events after landing. The author is taken by a smooth floating platform to a city of elegant futuristic technology.
Well, of course, the tall, blonde, Germanic people are super advanced. I hope I'm not the only one who can see where this is going.
The leader tells him that they are concerned with the humans' use of nuclear weapons, power the human race is not ready for. He is asked to relay this concern to human leaders.
And of course, they're super enlightened as well. Clearly a superior race. On a related note, Jordan, what was it you said about Jews?
2 extraterrestrial races stepped in. Not one, but 2 completely different races. The first race were the Hebrews, coming from our future. Thoth says that they came from off-planet, but we don't know where exactly. The Hebrews were kind of like a kid who went through 5th grade and didn't make it, so they had to do that grade over again. They learned all the math, the left brain stuff, but they didn't get the right brain aspect of evolving consciousness.
Clearly an inferior race. Now couple that with this.
There's even a conspiracy theory that Hitler found a cave in the ocean, which led to the Earth's habitable interior where he escaped.
And it's not hard to see that what Jordan is promoting here is Nazi propaganda. And no, I don't mean some Godwin's law, you're as bad as a Nazi bullshit. I mean literal Nazi propaganda.
When he is returned to the US, he's asked to keep this experience a secret, and it is only from this diary entry that we have any information on the supposed warnings of an inner Earth race.
Convenient.
Though there is no way to verify for certain that Admiral Byrd wrote this or that he experienced this, it does intersect with some interesting mysteries regarding the poles and the theories of entrances to Hollow Earth there.
Yes, it does. What's important though is that it doesn't intersect with reality.
As recently as 2017, a Navy whistleblower has claimed that he saw aerial silvery discs fly over the Transantarctic Mountains while stationed there from 1983 to 1997. The whistleblower believes that there is a top secret project between aliens and humans taking place at a secret base in the Antarctic.
Who is this whistleblower? Assuming they even exist, what makes them credible? And keep in mind that we're not talking about someone squealing on their boss for sexually harassing their secretary. We're talking about a secret project involving aliens. I'm gonna need more than just some anonymous guy said so.
In 2018, someone browsing Fitbit's public running routes discovered that someone had been jogging around the South Pole in a very clean geometric pattern.
So?
Upon investigation, there was only snow.
Assuming this is true, you do know that footprints disappear because of weather, right?
But the evidence was undeniable. There must be a secret underground base where that user was tracking their route.
Sure. Also, the fact that I drove to work yesterday morning proves that I drove through an underground network through which I can access Atlantis. How? Well, because I drove to work. It follows. Logically. You know, if you're stupid. See ya.